Hey everyone, welcome to FPL the Onion. It's episode 48. Nick, over to you. We're sharing the intro apparently.
We were joking before about doing a word each on the intro. I'm sure everyone would get sick of that pretty quickly. We've gone for time for a brew on the pun this week. Obviously referring to Bruno Fernandes. We've got double game weeks for United, Palace, Leeds, and so quite an exciting time. It feels like there's a lot to go through. Although we're going to try and keep to the shorter format that we've been trying in the last few weeks. So stick with us. I think it's going to be quite packed with info and opinions, and hopefully we can keep it under an hour. But we're not guessing the episode length anymore, unless you want to resurrect that one, Shlee.
No, probably not a good idea. Although, blimey, under an hour. Crikey, we're okay. We better get cracking then. We've got a couple of extra slides, half an hour for each. That'd be a bit worrying. Yep, how's it going, Nick? So you were saying you've not had a chance to listen to much content this week, but it's a bit of a. I think most of the episode will tonight be discussing what our options might be. You've only got one free, I've got two, but there's a lot of ways we could go. So it feels like every week, doesn't it? But generally, I think with the doubles, it could be quite tricky the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. Well, we should also say we're just shy of a year since we started this pod. I think the first one, did you say, Shlee, it was the 5th of Feb?
Yeah, which I
2022.
suppose makes sense with the maths, doesn't it? We're on about 48 episodes, obviously one-ish a week, so that makes sense.
Yeah. And I remember starting our first pod by pouring a beer or drinking a beer or something. And I was saying, Shlee, I've just run out of beer, but I don't think it's the same. It's not the same box that I had a year ago, but sadly couldn't ring in the new year with another beer, but maybe next time.
We're both on a bit of a I was going to say a bit of a slide. I'm certainly not having a great time with OR recently. You're on a slow progress up, but actually, I should clarify. I did joke with you last week, and I felt quite bad having looked at it again, saying, "Oh, wouldn't it be bad if you call me?" As if I had in my head you maybe 150 points behind me, but actually it's only about 40. So I think it's you've got the momentum, and you're getting a couple of cheeky moves that work, which I can just in your brain tell that sparks better ideas, and that's worrying me a little bit.
Yeah, it has been interesting actually, and I think hopefully it'll be the same again this week, because I think unfortunately I've had to take hits that in kind of the Andy's Discord chat that I'm in. There are a few people kind of with very, very similar teams to me or making similar moves to me that haven't had to take the hits that I've had to take to get the same team. So the moves that I've made, thankfully, have paid off in the last couple of game weeks. But I think I've had to take hits to get to them, and I think it'll be the same again this week, which means that it's just kind of dulled the impact of them. So I'm still just outside the top 1 million, which is a bit annoying because as you say, it feels like I've been getting some momentum, but not really moving that quickly. So
Yeah, fair enough. But I think there's going to be a bit of a click where you find a week where you're not going to take a hit. You've got all the sort of big players in at the moment. I was pretty jealous looking at your team the other day. Your team value must be quite decent as well. Well, you got zero in the bank, haven't you? So I think that's a sign that must be growing quite well.
yeah, I don't think my team value. I mean, it might get to a point maybe March time where it feels okay, but I started the season so badly in relation to TV
Okay.
that I don't think I'll have recovered yet. As I keep saying, I see teams that are like mine that have got Kane instead of someone. They've got another kind of 2 million in a player, where the rest of the team's the same. So I think other people have got ridiculous value compared to me.
Okay. If you get a mode, check mine versus yours. I'd be interested, but I seem to feel like I've got quite poor team value, but maybe not.
Yeah, I think in order to do it though, we'd have to do that thing where you take everyone out of the team, wouldn't we?
Maybe, yeah. Okay.
Rather than just looking at it with people like Haaland and stuff like that. But been some pretty crazy developments though since we last spoke. You think about obviously the transfer window shut, but Chelsea spending an absolute ridiculous amount of money on the guy who sounds like a car, and Enzo Fernandez, and then you've got Cancelo going to Bayern was just completely out of left field. But I guess not completely out of left field, given that he hasn't been getting in the team. But it's just you did not expect him to just suddenly leave on loan.
I know. Expensive defenders this season, just been crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Trent's just a no-go. What did Liverpool do last week? I mean, I've got no Liverpool players and I've just got no interest at all. I listened to a couple of pods this week and they've sort of been talking, if they get the double, should we get Salah back? What about Trent? And I just could not be fussed at the moment. They drew 0-0, didn't they, Chelsea? And that was quite a mediocre game.
Yeah, there will. I think we said this last time we spoke. There will be a game where they'll destroy somebody, and Trent and Salah will get double-digit hauls, and the people who own them will be like, "Oh, I knew we should have kept them." But it's just, as you say, they don't feel like the priority, do they? But it's funny when you look back at, if we listen to our kind of preseason pod this season, we'd be bigging up like big at the back again, and Reece James, Trent, Cancelo.
I think it was those three. Yeah, most people started with.
Yeah, I don't think that many people have started with Trippier, but he's on course to be the best defender ever in FPL, isn't he? So
I'll tell you a guy who probably did, Mark Bleakley. Just have a look at his Game Week 1 team, actually. He had Trent, Cancelo, James, and Robertson at the back, and Nico Williams.
I think I had the same defense in Game Week 1.
Yeah, Salah captain, Haaland in place, Kulu with his 13 points, Jesus, he was about to go off, wasn't he, and Martinelli.
Yeah.
So he is. Have you seen his rank?
Isn't he like top 100 now, isn't he?
23rd.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
It is. So yeah, 89 points in the mini league. Congrats, Mark. Yeah, you got a shout out on Black Box I heard this week. So keep that up.
Wow. Very
decent,
very good.
Spread of scores. 20 points actually covering Dean Ambrose with a bit of a poor week. But yeah, Tom Harris is up there into third. He's having a good time at the moment. Other Tom, who's on the show sometimes, Tom Martin, up to 7th with 85. He's climbed ahead of me annoyingly recently. He's doing very well. But yeah, I've got Mark's team here. I'm just going to share if I can. Yeah, Kepa Estupiñán had this week. Triple City attack, which is quite interesting. He's got Kane, so he's got Threemium. No Bruno yet. He'd probably go De Bruyne to Bruno this week. He rolled a transfer as well, so he's got 2 Gabriel rather than White. That's solid.
Yeah.
No Saka either.
Interesting.
No double Newcastle defence either, so he must have climbed in other ways. But Kepa's been great, hasn't he? So yeah, it's a decent team that.
Yeah, and clever to have Tony. I don't know when he had him, whether he's had him throughout all of this, but I just wasn't going to go anywhere near it with the threat of the ban.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, should we move on? What happened last week? So sorry, you should go first. Actually, you had a great week, 82 after a hit.
Yeah, 86 -4 with the hit again. I'm just loving the hits, trying to fix this team. But the hit, if I remember, it was obviously the Arsenal double in. Got rid of Almiron. Hasn't I think he's had 1 decent return since the World Cup.
I'm sure the first week, 17.
Yeah, he's been doing well. I was at 17 the first week, or maybe I didn't have him straight after the World Cup. Then I thought he got 9.
No, that's the only goal he's had since the World Cup. 8, and then he's had 3s and 2 points.
Oh, in game week 17, right? Sorry, yeah. But obviously, I'm sure he'll get some decent returns again. Although Max, I think, is back from injury, isn't he? But yeah, I'm hopefully not going to miss. And that's the other thing in this game, isn't it? It's not just getting players in who are going to do well. It's kind of picking the players, getting off the players before they take sharp dips in form. But yeah, I've kind of left myself with 0-0 in the bank. It was nice to get something out of Saka and Odegaard for that United game. Didn't necessarily expect that, so that was good. But I just knew that I wanted the triple up on Arsenal. And I think Odegaard, I haven't had Martinelli since I got rid of him for that game week 12 blank a long time ago. But yeah, it feels like Saka and Odegaard are the ones to have now. I've heard of people talking about Saka as being kind of like the English Messi and being as good as Messi, and you're like, he's good, but he's at the same age. I think Messi was winning Champions League finals, and I guess Saka's going to help Arsenal to this league against a very good City side. So he is great, but I don't see him anywhere near Messi's league for a very long time. But
well, as on Black Box was comparing Messi to Matoma, which is quite funny as well. Although with probably a bit more reason, like his dribbling is probably better than Saka's, but I think it's just that talisman. Saka's on pens, but yeah, I'm not sure about the Messi comparison.
that goal that Matoma scored against Liverpool as well, just the way he takes the second touch in the air.
Yeah,
I don't think
amazing.
there's many players who would do that. Most players would be like, I'm right by the goal. I've got it up in the air. I should just hit it on target. But it's that touch that basically scores the goal, isn't it?
So cultured. Yeah.
Amazing to be that calm in that position. Yeah, Matoma's one that I'm gonna look at some point. Although because Brighton don't yet have a double, and
They've got a fixture in 25. What's it like after 25? It's not too bad, but they've probably got a blank in 28 as well. This is hopefully updated with what is now correct for 25 and what we know of 28, and the colour is a bit confusing, but yeah.
Those fixtures look. This is the problem, isn't it? Because those fixtures look good for Brighton, and yet because they blank in 28, some people, maybe me, will be like, "Oh, I'm not going to prioritise that." Whereas actually, maybe that is. And the other thing that obviously means that you won't do it is that we've got a double this week and a double next, so you'll be like, "Right, I need to prioritise those doubling players."
Yep.
But Matoma is.
It's one that could get away easily, yeah. And it's one of those. How many times every season have we said on here? Only one, but how many times have I said in my head in my FPL life are too focused on the blanks? I'm not sure that's too focused on the blanks because like you say, we've got all these doubles. It's one that you should have done 2 weeks ago, or probably not now. And I was kicking myself that I didn't go double Newcastle, for example, because again another clean sheet last week. And I was thinking, well, just next week I'm just going to do it as in this week. But after a week of thinking about it, I've come around to the thought of I'm just going to have to swallow it because it's now so close to the blank.
I know, but that's the thing. It's annoying, isn't it? Because if he just continues to score well, Matoma continues to score well, you'd be like, why is he not in our teams? And maybe it is just for those kind of players, maybe it is just worth a -4 to be like, right, I'm just going to do it, get it done.
For you, who would you do it for? It'd be Andreas, I guess, but then you'd go Martial to Notto or something. It's not worth a -4, is it?
No, but this is the thing, you see. I hadn't even thought about Matoma until we started talking about him now, but he is one of those players where, because my season has gone the way it's gone and I'm 1.1 million, it might be fun just to kind of crank up the hits even more and just because again with Fulham, Andreas has been really solid, but I don't know. I don't see him getting very many points between
maybe. I'm kind of hoping he's a bit of a secret weapon because I'm probably gonna have to bench him as an 8th attacker, but they've got some really good fixtures coming up. I've got Mitrovic as well, so
yeah.
I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I'll probably be playing Mitrovic, although if he takes another pen, maybe not. But yeah, I've got Forest at home, Wolves at home. We've got some really good home games coming up, and Wolves at home in the blank. So Andreas could be very handy.
Yeah, true. And that's the thing. It's just, I think I guess the theme of this show could have been kind of, to use a trite phrase, like I feel like I have painted myself into a corner big time this season. And, obviously we had the unlimited transfers after the World Cup and I should have set it up better, but yeah, it just feels a little bit annoying this week because there's so many things that I want to do, but because I've been taking hits in the previous weeks, I've only got one free transfer. I've got Martial, who's obviously injured. He's on the bench tonight. Kind of hoping he comes on, or I'm hoping he comes on, so that maybe, and if he comes on and scores, then I might well think about keeping him. But he's certainly not the ideal third United player to have at the moment. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of people with Bruno who haven't taken hits to get him. I could do De Bruyne to Bruno. We'll come to that later on, but there's just so many different things that are quite frustrating about the way that I'm set up.
Yeah.
But coming back to this week, obviously Kepa.
Kepa's been brilliant.
Clean sheet against Liverpool has been amazing. That's probably been a big part of just feeling like I've got some momentum. Is just not having done that Kepa switch, even though they had some difficult fixtures. So
yeah, no, that totally has bit me right before the tricky fixtures. Got Edison, okay, got a clean sheet this week, but another 9 points, so annoying. You must have been loving that. Well, apart from the result, see the Arsenal game, Ødegaard last minute assist, and Saka must have got, 2 bonus there.
Yeah, I watched. Yeah, because Nketiah got the 3, didn't he? 3 bonus. But I watched that game and it was a brilliant game. It was nice to have United and Arsenal back, kind of in a game that seemed to be quite important. I kind of had, outside hopes that if United won that game, it would have felt like they were quite in the title race. I think they would have been 2 points behind Arsenal, with Arsenal having a game in hand or something like that. It was actually going to be pretty tight. Maybe it was 5 points behind. I think we would have been level with City. but it certainly would have felt like we're in the title race. Now not so much. But it's nice when United are doing well and playing in these big games, because you know, FPL becomes a little bit less important, which when you're 1.1 million in the world is a good thing, I think. But yeah, if anyone was going to get points against United, I'm glad it was my players. But obviously Tom Martin had, I think he went Martial to Nketiah, which obviously looks like a fantastic move now.
Amazing. Yeah, because his stats have been, well, come to that now if you want. One of the extra sort of slides I got this week, and I've just done it because I'm so torn on quite a few options, is, do we put this sort of thing up before, XG versus XA? But look at Nketiah, second highest XG of any player, well, midfielders, and actually no, this is all outfield players over the last 6. Haaland's obviously ridiculous, but Nketiah's so close. But I don't think he had a huge XG from that United game. One of them was quite close to goal, wasn't it? So maybe it was, but
the winner was close to goal, wasn't it? So
yeah, his underlying numbers would have been quite good, but he hasn't got any points, I think, for 3 weeks before this. So people that bought him in, yeah, like Tom, it's a great move.
Yeah, because
especially
he also looks now. I mean, obviously, I don't know when Jesus is going to be back. I don't think it's
3 to 4 weeks. He was caught saying like to a reporter in the stands or something, but it was very unofficial.
Yeah, but this is the thing. It gets to the point where, and I think I saw a tweet, even though I haven't been on Twitter as much, but I saw a tweet from Big Man Bakar saying, you know, to get a forward who's performing so well in the kind of champions elect for 6.7 million is like an absolute no-brainer. And I couldn't agree more with that. So I mean, and that's the thing. I've been looking at ways to get. I remember having Nketiah in the COVID season when he was 4.5.
Oh right, he was a thing at the end of last season, wasn't he? Was he a thing in the like 2 seasons ago, COVID season?
Yeah, he was really good. It was him and he who shall not be named, Greenwood, but I just did. But he was really good. I had Greenwood and Nketiah both for 4.5 million. I was playing both of them at the end of that season. So
okay, I'm just looking at his history. Yeah, he was quite cheap. He only got 2 goals, 1 assist 2 seasons ago. So that must have been again a late flurry at the end or something.
I think I had all of those points.
3 4.5s up front or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like 2 playing 4.5s up front. I can't remember who might have been Kane, the third striker. I can't remember, or Aguero or someone. But Nketiah is, I think he's the real deal. I think he's going to hold down that place. I think when Jesus comes back, he's obviously going to be in the mix. But I think Nketiah will stay at Arsenal and actually be a long-term first team player for them. I think he looks great.
Yeah, sure. Well, that was the other thing where I was thinking, Nketiah in this form, would he actually be dropped straight away? So yeah, Jesus back in 3 to 4 weeks, but if they got this momentum, he's not going to get his place back necessarily.
No, exactly. So poor Jesus, he's probably absolutely gutted.
Yeah, that swayed me a little bit in terms of one of my dilemmas, because unsurprisingly, one of my plans involves Nketiah. And then the other just quick things to point out here: De Bruyne's XA is ridiculous. He is 1 XA ahead of the nearest person, which is Trippier. He's far out on the left, on the right, but then obviously assists don't get you as many points as midfielders. Salah's actually quite high up, tucked in under Brennan Johnson, the second highest XG midfielder behind Rashford in the last 6. Ødegaard's quite a lot higher than Saka, so that suggests Saka's been quite outperforming, although this is non-penalty, so if Saka had a pen, that wouldn't be showing up.
But you also think about the goals that, the goal Saka scored against United was just an absolute from miles out, wasn't it? Whereas Ødegaard, you just see him running through the middle all the time. He's very advanced, and Saka's usually out a lot wider, isn't he? So that does make sense.
And then the other thing is Bruno. He is not that great on XG.
No.
I mean, his assist he got an assist in that game, didn't he? To was it Rashford who just when he tucked it in the corner? That was just nothing assist, just played it across.
Yeah.
I still think I probably will go Bruno. I'm worried about him given his 19-pointer recently and his double game week form historically, but I don't think I'm tempted to captain him, and I'm not sure I would do it say not for a hit. I mean, I know that's probably your situation, but I wouldn't necessarily break my team up for it. And given he's got this blank in 25.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I've still got a lot of things to think about. But you are right. I'm not necessarily getting Bruno because my head thinks that he's going to, he's going to do it based on his position on the pitch or his form in the last, 10 weeks or whatever it is. But it just seems like I think probably there's a lot of, I can't remember what game week it was last year. Was it 21 or
I
22?
think it was around here. Yeah, exactly. It was the Ronaldo
And
Bruno. We've chatted about this, isn't it? Ronaldo got
yeah,
2 points and Bruno got 18 or something.
yeah, and that's the thing, because those things do stick in your mind. Even the time of year and kind of a game week at this, double game week at the same time. You kind of just think, I don't want to be feeling the way I felt last time when he went off in the double game week and the player that we had, because I've just got this feeling, and I don't want to kind of make a narrative, but I've just got this feeling that Rashford's going to blank and that Bruno's going to smash it.
Really? Okay.
And I think a lot of people are going to triple captain and captain Rashford. I'll probably be one of them if I don't have Bruno. But I think if I had Bruno, I'd be tempted to captain him, but not for anything other than, the feels, if that makes sense, rather than think, because Rashford's in the form of his life at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, the stats here don't lie. His XG is nearly double.
Yeah, you think
Bruno's.
what Ronaldo leaving the club has done to both of these players, but particularly to Rashford, he's just suddenly.
But if we knew he was on pens, that might sway it as well. We're still not sure, are we?
No.
But he's got 5 returns in the last 5, Bruno. Probably Rashford has as well, but he's certainly in form.
Yeah, but you think, again, like that pass from Bruno to Rashford, for Rashford then to smash it in from 25 yards was like a classic Bruno assist. It's just the kind of, it's one of the reasons why he was such a good FPL asset, because it just felt like everything he did, worked out, didn't it? So yeah, I don't know. I think that's probably the big decision for me, is whether I go De Bruyne to Bruno for a hit and then probably back again for City's double next week. But it's basically it's 8 points to have Bruno for this double, and really sensibly I probably shouldn't do that.
What would it be? 8 next week would be free to get him back, right?
Well, unless because there's always another move that I want to make, Shlee.
Yeah,
so,
okay. You
I
do at least have a playing fourth defender, though. I haven't got a bench. At least you've got. I mean, I know Bueno's not great, but that would sway it a little bit. What would you really want to do next week? You just want to get triple. Actually, you haven't got triple City, have you? You'd only have one.
No, but this is the thing. I mean, I guess we need to look at your your game week, don't we? But
yeah, sorry.
Let's do that, because I could talk about kind of plans for a while, I think so.
Sure. I won't dwell on this too long. 74 Robin transfer. I can't remember what I was tempted to do. If anything, Martinelli's obviously the wrong Arsenal midfielder, it looks like, at the moment. He obviously came off for Trossard. That was annoying. De Bruyne in a 3-0 only got an assist. Really annoying. Kane, I was loving that when he scored in that late Monday game, but because Spurs got the clean sheet, I think it was the defenders and Lloris maybe that mopped up the bonus, so that was a bit annoying. I feel really unlucky with Kane. I've got him in for a hit after that Crystal Palace 16-pointer, was it? And it was funny, Andy Martin on Twitter this week was saying, "Oh, I can't believe people did that." And you saying you feel a bit trapped with your team. I feel a bit like that with mine. That I'm thinking it's either him or De Bruyne that's got to be the cash cow if I want to get Fernandes, and that would be annoying to have to get Kane out. But he's had 2 returns and they've been a 5 and a 6-pointer. You can't really get much worse. No bonus recently, but his fixtures are really good.
Yeah, and it is annoying because actually you say I've had some momentum in the last couple of weeks, and I have, but it could have gone so much better. Like the players that I brought in, you think like De Bruyne, like Kane could have. I spoke to somebody, I didn't watch that game, so I was playing football on Monday night, but they said Kane had a really good chance at the end of the game as well.
Yeah, straight at the keeper.
But this is the thing, you see. I mean, all it needs is one more thing, and suddenly he gets another goal, all the bonus,
sure,
etc., etc. And so, I feel like I have, although I've been lucky and it's gone well, there have been certain things where, like, was it De Bruyne in the double? He just got 1 assist in the double, didn't he, the week before?
Yeah, because he got blimmin', what was it? He had a family thing or something where he didn't play the second game, and Mahrez got 18 points.
That's it. So it's little things like that have been a bit irritating, but I'm lucky that my hits have paid off, but they could have been so much bigger.
Yeah. So yeah, the team is not looking in great shape, and obviously my bench is just a nightmare at the moment. Patterson, hopefully he's going to come back for 25. Doherty's off to Madrid, so I don't actually have a bench apart from Andreas at the moment.
Yeah, that's that. I did see that with Doherty going. That's
It's a terrible transfer. Can't believe I did that a couple of weeks ago. That was
I
Game Week as well.
nearly did that. I thought about that as well.
Yeah.
I can't remember who I brought in instead. Did I maybe not? Maybe I didn't do it.
Bueno. At least that's got something.
Maybe I didn't do a defensive transfer that week, but that was for the Spurs double, wasn't it?
Yeah. Just quick look at this as well, talking of your momentum and a better rank is down on this, where some people might be expecting it up. Seems to make sense in my head a bit. But yeah, you're the blue line at the top, which is obviously suggesting compared to last season it's not been great, which is after your great season, not a surprise. But it's just quite interesting that you and I and the two Toms are kind of similar-ish. You were a bit worse than I was last season, and I didn't make much progress at all last season after this stage. And actually, I think that Tom Harris has been doing quite well, but actually he's just been sort of treading water, and actually certainly myself has just been drifting away from him. It's just quite interesting looking at the pattern there.
Yeah, and I think actually you're right that I think it almost does become more difficult to make moves at this point of the season. Obviously, Jamie Piggott would disagree, but already there are kind of chip strategies that are forming where it's kind of like, oh, these are the only two chip strategies you can have, and when the free hit chip comes around, which will probably be, I think most people will play it in 28 or 29. But there'll be kind of very template teams for that free hit. So it does become quite difficult to make big moves, but hopefully from where I am, there'll still be quite a few people who are just dead teaming at some point. But because
there's loads, but we were talking about Saka last week, and I think you'd already done the move at that point. You're still only 20% in the top 10k, so you're on him early. True. And that's good gains.
And that's the kind of thing. I mean, it wasn't. I just thought, he's the one to have. I want double Arsenal attack, and kind of Saka and Odegaard are the ones to have. But when you look at it, you're like, I still don't think there'll be loads of people flooding to him because he just is that bit more expensive. And people are thinking, well, I can get Odegaard, or if I've already got Martinelli, there's no point doing that, and I have to find 2 million to do it or whatever. So hopefully he's going to be a little bit of a secret weapon for me over the next few weeks, but we shall see.
So you next week, shoot, what are you thinking?
Yeah, let me try and talk you through some of these things. So I'm not delighted by the fact that White went off at half-time against United. It may have just been because he was having a bit of a torrid time against Rashford and he got booked. But the fact that Tomiyasu came on, did okay, they won the game. I think he got an assist. I don't know what he got the assist for. Was it the
I can't remember.
I can't remember either. But Tomiyasu is obviously back and he's going to compete for that place. So I don't love that. But the flip side is that White, when he plays, I've been delighted by what an absolute bonus point magnet he is. He just seems to get kind of 2 bonus points every game that they get a clean sheet, which is incredible. And he's cheap. But and they've obviously got the double next week. But I am not happy about Tomiyasu being back. So he's a bit of an issue for me. Then I've got De Bruyne, where I'm thinking, he's big game Kev, but they obviously haven't been doing that well. Cancelo going as he has kind of shows that all is not well there. And so they're either going to blast on and kind of really challenge Arsenal, or they could, a couple more defeats and they could really fall away. They've obviously got the double next week, but I would really like to have Bruno in that position. But that brings me to the next thing. Obviously, that would be a transfer. But I have 3 United players. I have Shaw and Rashford. Fine, that looks good. Martial is a problem, although he is on the pitch now. I'm just checking the thing. He's just scored.
I was just about to say that. Yeah,
he's just scored. So that's good. So that may mean just that little thing happening may mean that actually I don't need to worry too much about Martial, because I mean, again, you look at Palace and Leeds at home, that's a pretty sweet double, isn't it? But maybe that means I can kind of focus my transfers elsewhere, because even though we know he's not going to get 180 minutes across those games, he might get 60 and 60, or even 60 and 30. I would take, because I think when he's fit, he is very good. So maybe that probably does change things. But if I do want Bruno, because lots of other people are going to have him, probably means getting rid of Martial. If I get rid of Martial, I'd like Nketiah, but Nketiah is 0.2 more, and he's an Arsenal player, and I've got 3 Arsenal. So, it starts to get quite cyclical and quite annoying. But I think some of the things I've thought of are maybe White down to a 4.5 defender. And it could be I could get a third United defender if I'm not going to get Bruno. But obviously now we're saying it'd probably be silly to get a third United defender when I could just keep Martial.
I see. And then Martial to Nketiah.
Or Martial to
Swap
Nketiah.
Well, it'd have to be right? Because you couldn't do White to a United defender because you'd have 4 United.
Yeah, so I wouldn't then be able to do Bruno to. I wouldn't be able to do De Bruyne.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to get Bruno in. Yeah.
So it'd be White to say Martinez, and then it'd be Martial to Nketiah.
Sure.
But basically the issue is then I've got a United defender who although he's good and I think he is first choice, he's not necessarily going to play. I don't think he's played like every minute of every game, so he's a bit of an issue.
Yeah.
They've obviously got a double this week, but I don't love them for a clean sheet in that Leeds game. I think Palace, they might be okay, although they obviously conceded late to Palace in the return fixture recently. But it just feels a little bit sideways, and it feels much more sideways now that Martial scored. So, obviously Arsenal have a double next week. It'd be nice to have Nketiah for that double. But the other thing I could do, I guess, is now I could keep Martial this week. I could do White to, I could do him to a Newcastle defender because I like Newcastle's fixtures. I like the double up on that. And then I could do Nketiah in next week for Arsenal's double. So it's funny that Martial goal really does change quite a lot in my thinking.
It'd be a great differential, if he started. I mean, that would be one just to keep an eye on. I know you're trying to come back from Twitter a bit, but that jump the wave account is really good for United predictions, and they're normally pretty bob on.
Yeah. Whereas the interesting thing now, this is the thing, I can't just, even though I've only got one free transfer, I can't just do, for example, De Bruyne to Bruno because I just haven't got the United slot to do it. So
yeah,
kind of everything looks like a -4. The other option, I guess, is I do Martial down to Nonto at Leeds because they've got the double, and then I do De Bruyne to Bruno. So yeah, it's a bit of a mess at the moment in my head. I don't really know what I'm gonna do, but
what about rolling? It doesn't massively obviously help you this week, but if you think Martial's going to start, could be a good differential. You'll have Bruno Fia, but then next week you'll be in really good position. You don't have 3 City. You could get Lewis or something for Patton or Bueno, or White if you're worried. In fact, White to Lewis next week and Martial to Nketiah is quite good.
Yeah, and that because Lewis is the other one, obviously with Cancelo going. Did Walker go on loan as well?
I didn't think so.
I think there was talk of Walker going as well, but obviously Lewis, if he is going to keep starting, and it's nice to see another game, obviously after Cancelo's gone, to see if Lewis starts and plays 90. But I'm guessing he'll be 4 by next week. But 4 million playing defender for City's pretty much too good to pass up as well, isn't it? When they've got a double.
And they don't blank in 25, but they do in 28. Yeah, so but it's good for 25 as well if he keeps his place. Obviously, a bit of a question mark over that maybe.
Yeah, and I was looking at 28 because I'm going to try not to play my free hit in 28 in the blank so that I can use it in 29 on the doubles. But then you start to think, well, should I be prioritizing players who've got a game in 28? But I don't love them before then. But we've still got
ahead.
What is it? Yeah, is it like 7 free transfers we've got until 28? So
yeah, and apart from the concrete ones, some of them are 90-80% likely to go ahead, but you just don't know. I think that's a bit of a trap going into that sort of thinking. Yeah. I know you were saying beforehand it was good to top them up, but I think that's maybe a 5% swing in decision.
Yeah, and I think at the moment because Arsenal are definitely going to play,
in both.
Newcastle are going to play, and Chelsea are going to play. I think I've already got 5 or 6. So yeah, there's plenty of time to prepare for that, I think. But yeah, I hadn't thought about rolling, and that Martial goal does make it. It does make it an opportunity. I'm just looking. United are 2-0 up, and Fred scored. It looks like it was from a
Rashford 2 assists, I think.
Where it says here. Interesting. Yeah, it's just saying unbelievable cross from Fernandez with the outside of his right boot. But
okay, so Soul's got Rashford, and Praz on Twitter said Rashford 2 assists.
I guess Rashford must have touched it.
The thing is, what's Martial been doing recently? Did you have an FA Cup game? Did he play in that?
I don't think he did, and I don't think he was even on the bench. I could be wrong, but I didn't. Pretty sure I looked out for him, and he wasn't. He
He
wasn't
started
there.
against City in the last league game. So did he get injured in that?
Yeah,
He's so injury prone, isn't he? I lose track.
I think he went off, didn't he? Let me check. He didn't play 90 minutes in that, though, did he?
No, he came off. Anyway.
Yeah, he came off at half time. Then he didn't play against Palace, and he didn't play against Arsenal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm looking at a screen that doesn't show all their games. That's probably not very helpful.
Yeah. No, he's missed 2 league games, completely not in the squad, I don't think.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, that goal does change everything. And as you say, I just need to look out for news on that. As long as he doesn't have a bad reaction to playing, rolling could be really nice, actually, couldn't it?
Yeah, it's tricky though. I hear your thoughts, but no. So you're not at all tempted to get rid of Kane. He would be an obvious cash cow in my head for 1 week, given City. But you're just thinking he's ticking along.
But where would you go? Because again, to me, Nketiah is like the only one I want, and I don't want to compromise too much on that. But I've got 3 Arsenal, so everything is a hit. That's the annoying thing.
Fair enough. Yeah, true. Yeah.
And he could score against this City team again. You think this City defense, but they've been pretty destabilized. They haven't really had any consistency, even in the centre back position. So
yeah,
doesn't take much. Son's obviously just scored a couple of goals in the FA Cup, so he could do something, and Kane could, maybe grab a pen or something. But
what are the I'm checking the potential transfers you wrote here a while back. KDB and Martial to Bruno and Nonto.
this is the thing, you see. We go back to what I was saying before. I don't love at all not having Bruno for this double, because I really think he's on good form. He's getting a lot of returns. He's going to play both games. But it's a -4 at least this week, and who's the cash cow, and it doesn't necessarily set me up that well. So it's just, especially now that Martial scored. So I think you're right. I think maybe rolling and just hoping De Bruyne gets something against Spurs, just to kind of offset what Bruno does, and captain Rashford. I think that might be the best play.
Yep. I don't mind the Martial to Nketiah, but I'm not sure that the bit I don't like about that is the White to a 4.5 being Martinez or whoever it be at United. I think if it was a more solid one, maybe fine, or maybe I'd like it a bit more if it was Newcastle. But that's the bit of it that I don't like.
It'll be really interesting, won't it? Because if White, for example, if White doesn't start against Everton, or if he doesn't play, more than say 70 minutes, that could be quite a good indication to ship him next week.
Yeah.
Whereas if he plays and maybe they get a clean sheet and he gets some bonus again, because that's the other thing, you don't want to ship. Arsenal defense has been really, really good, and he's been very cheap and he's been getting bonus points. So it's like if he carries on playing, I shouldn't be looking to get rid of him.
The only thing with that though is that for 0.7 more or whatever Gabriel is, it's a pretty big upgrade to his goal threat. He's nailed and more goal threat. If White was the one with goal threat and you were just going to I don't know, Tierney or someone, I know he's quite attacking, but just a boring centre back, fine. But Gabriel's I heard someone saying his XG is almost as good as Fernandez's or something. Like he's just that threat, isn't he?
That's the issue, though, isn't it? Because I guess that the next
you wouldn't
week
be able to do it, I suppose, unless you roll this week, like you say, and then you see White come off at 70th minute, and then that somehow comes into your thinking.
Yeah, or I take a -4 next week and find the cash from someone else. But
yeah, could be that.
I like Martial to Nketiah, but again, like Martial plays and scores a couple of goals in those games, then maybe it's Kane to Nketiah then. Although Kane comes into some really nice fixtures, doesn't he, in a few weeks? Haaland to Nketiah.
Yeah, I think roll on the balance of that.
Yeah, interesting. I hadn't considered it, but I think you're right. That might be the play.
So I've got a table for my options. Did you see this before we came on? I flicked over to you. hopefully it's not too confusing. But there is actually another mistake on this. I put it on Twitter earlier with one really bad mistake. Someone was like, you can't do that because you've got 4 Arsenal. I was like, oh, bloody hell. So 2 free transfers, 1 mil in the bank. I haven't got Bruno.
Yeah.
I haven't got Saka. Those are my main imminent. I need to get those players in. And I, to a lesser worry, haven't got a 4th playing defender. But I think at the moment I'm just going to ignore that. So in the table I've explained, if I did nothing, that would give me 57 points from the KDB, Almiron and Kane slots, which are the 3 I'm playing about with. And basically all of these involve either using KDB as a cash cow or Kane. Option 1 is KDB to Bruno, and then next week Bruno to Saka and Almiron to Mahrez. That keeps the triple City. It gets Saka, but it loses KDB. Option 2 is KDB to Bruno. Anyway, you can read these. Almiron to Saka this week. There's an option involving losing Kane and getting Nonto. There's an option involving just a hokey cokey option 4, KDB to Bruno, then back again, and getting Almiron to Ødegaard. I can't actually afford that by point 1. I've just put it as an illustration.
Yeah.
And then the last one is Kane to Nketiah. I don't know, twice through this chat I've thought, when you're talking about Baka bigging up Nketiah, that did seem like quite a good no-brainer. But then just looking at the De Bruyne stats as well, I'm like, I'm not sure if I want him. And I can't believe that would mean probably fall into the Mahrez trap again, but maybe I'm willing to go down that one more time.
Have got a double next week though.
If I lost De Bruyne, I think every plan involves getting Mahrez back in. That would be how I would save cash.
Okay. I have to say, number 5 to me is head and shoulders above the others.
The only issue with that is I can't afford Saka, actually, even though I've got 3.5 in the bank. I've written that wrong. I'd have to do Martinelli to Ødegaard.
Okay. Which is a bit, that is a bit of a shame, but I wonder if there's another way to do it. But yeah, I guess the nice thing is you're losing Kane for a difficult fixture this week and getting Nketiah for Everton. Then they've got the double next week. Almiron, I do think, still amazing value, but obviously Bruno for the double is a massive upgrade. So if I had 2 free transfers and had, didn't have triple Arsenal, that's what I would do, I think. I haven't really thought about losing Kane, but again, for me, it would be, it has to be kind of, because the other thing I thought about is obviously if I did, because of the structure of my 3 Arsenal, I could do a cash cow and then one of Saka or Ødegaard potentially up to Bruno, but I don't want to lose Saka or Ødegaard because they've got a double next week and they're in great form. So I think if I was in your position, I would probably do for free as well, to have Nketiah and Bruno this week, still keep De Bruyne for his double next week. You could always try and work a way to get Kane back in for his fixtures, but
it's really not easy.
No, I'm sure it's not. But as in, I wonder if there's a way after City's double to kind of do De Bruyne back down to like Saka.
Yeah, of course there will be, but it's definitely 2 frees, isn't it? You've got to move that money from midfield to attack.
But I think the gains you would get from these moves, because you're getting double Arsenal fixture next week when you've only got 2 Arsenal at the moment, and not even the 2 best at the moment.
Yeah.
So, and you're getting the best, I think, because Nketiah is, for his value, is probably, he's on amazing form. It's either between him and Saka, or I guess him and Ødegaard. But you're also getting Bruno, who's banging form and sounds like he's playing well again tonight for a home double against Palace and Leeds. And you're only losing Almiron, and you're losing Kane against City, who, although I was talking about, it's still a tough fixture, right? He's less likely to do well in that game than he is to do well.
Yeah.
And then there will, you'll still have options, because you're going to be on a threemium just with Bruno
instead of Kane,
KDB and Haaland. Yeah. So you've still got options to downgrade one of those 3, and then maybe bring in, your Saka at that point.
Yeah. Well, the thinking there partly is that's why I put it in the bank. I feel like I need the cash because I'm going to need to do something with Doherty and probably Patterson for the blank. So I'm going to need, I can't really go very far with them without a bit of money. So that's why it's kind of important to know how much it generates.
Yeah, and I guess would it make sense then to do something like for Arsenal's double next week to do like Doherty to Gabriel, or something like that. So instead of doing like Martinelli to Saka, because I guess when they've got a double, that's a little bit sideways. Even though I do think it's an upgrade, but you could focus on doing like Doherty or Patterson up to an Arsenal defender, couldn't you? And then
I'd have 4. I'd have to do White to Gabriel.
I'd
I'd have
because of
White,
Nketiah,
Martinelli, and Nketiah. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
the slight downside of Nketiah. We'll put it
This
this
is,
way: if you could do Kane to Nketiah this week for free, would you?
yeah, I think I probably would. I mean, the annoying thing about that is you get stuck in your own head where because you'd have so much money in the bank, you'd be like, oh, is there another -4 I could do that upgrades something else using that cash and is like a transfer I'd want to do. So I don't know whether I could afford it, but like I'm sure I could definitely go from Saka up to Bruno, but it's just that and then maybe I'll get him back next week. But it's just too many transfers for me. But yeah, I think if I could do Kane to Nketiah this week, I would. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That maybe does sway it a little bit, but I don't know. I just got this feeling about De Bruyne that he's not big game Kev anymore. It worries me a bit.
But the thing is, that's exactly what I thought. Again, I'm spinning a narrative here, but that's exactly what I thought last season when they got knocked out. They got knocked out of the Champions League. Surprisingly, did they get knocked out by Bayern or someone? I can't remember. PSG, I can't remember. But they got knocked out of the Champions League, and I was like, how are they going to react to this? And I thought they would implode. And then he got 4 goals against Wolves. Literally the next game.
And here we are again in a bit of a perceived crisis. Yeah, so it could happen again.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. They're in a crisis. They have got one of the best managers in the world, and they have got an amazing team. They could absolutely destroy Spurs, couldn't they?
Yeah.
Spurs without their manager, although I actually think that will help Spurs at the moment. Did you see that Conte's he's having to have like his gallbladder removed or something?
Yeah, I did see that, and it didn't sort of click that. Yeah, that was upcoming with this big game.
Yeah, I think he's going to be recuperating. I think so.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting. Thing is, Kane's such an enigma, though. He's been in this team this season, and they've been so poor, but he's got 16 goals. He is the focal point beyond Tony focal points or Mitrovic. He's just getting everything, isn't he? If Spurs score, he's going to be involved. So
yeah, exactly. I'm just looking now on my phone whether hadn't thought about this, but I could do Kane to Nketiah and then White to anyone.
But that's the problem with defences, isn't it? Where do you put any of the money?
Exactly, because there's nobody really worth that money. But I guess
unless you did do Newcastle and just accept 25 would be a bit painful.
I could do triple United, or I could go back to United defender, but I don't really want to. This is the thing. Whereas I think if I just left White and I did like Odegaard up to Bruno, but I'd want Odegaard back for their double next week. Odegaard's also the highest scoring midfielder in the game, which is pretty surprising. Isn't it? Yeah, top of the list.
Oof, wow.
Oh no, that's my issue, right? So this is how much I've painted myself into a corner. If I did Kane to Nketiah and then Odegaard up to Bruno, can you see what the issue is?
You then got 4 United. You just shoved the threes around to the end of the line.
Exactly. And it's pretty painful, actually.
Yeah, that is quite annoying. Yeah,
if you get 3 players from the same team, you have to be pretty sure in the kind of medium term that they are the best 3 to have.
Well, that's the classic, isn't it? Of sometimes, I don't know, did we go like double Brighton keepers a couple of years ago? I seem to remember, and then suddenly 2 Brighton attackers emerged or something. You like, that's when it can bite you.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
why you don't dare go, a Man City backup keeper because you might need triple at some point.
No. So I just feel like I think
if you did Kane to Nketiah, my temptation would be White to a Newcastle defender. I don't hate that.
Right. Yeah, because I guess all I'm losing is White's double next week, but Newcastle's defense has been very, very good.
Yeah. And Newcastle have got a good fixture next week. You'd have, you haven't got White's double, but you just had White's rotation risk. You can have Nketiah's double instead, and you can have quite a lot of money. But then
I guess the annoying thing is, though, I'm spending -4 to not actually get an extra fixture this week.
True. Yeah.
Which again is just like, why am I doing that? And I'm losing sight of the fact that I wanted Bruno, right? That was who I wanted, but
yeah,
I think just getting there is just too much of a.
Let me also, this might help my decision making, and we'll already wrap it up. 49 minutes. If you could do De Bruyne to Fernandes for free, would you?
Yeah, I think I would, but that's the thing. I've definitely painted myself into a
Yeah,
corner because
I know. But that
yeah.
would, but to do that, you'd probably then accept a hokey cokey back next week, or would you be tempted with? Because the good thing about doing that is you then are open to the City mid next week. If De Bruyne flops again, or
Mm.
Pep's annoyed with him, but Mahrez bangs with that move. That's why I quite like De Bruyne out this week, because you, even if you hokey cokey, you don't have to. You could go Mahrez and then save yourself 4 mil.
Well, I also think the reason why I quite like I'm pretty certain would do the Bruno, the KDB to Bruno move for free is that United have got Leeds away next week.
Yeah,
It's not a terrible game, especially if you
yeah,
see how he does against Leeds at home.
yeah.
In fact, I think didn't that happen in the double last year when he did really well? They played the same. It might have been Leeds again, didn't they play
Oh,
them
right.
twice?
Can't remember.
I can't remember either, but I think it was. It's ringing a bell that we played them really close together again last season. But the nice thing about doing De Bruyne to Bruno this week is you see how De Bruyne does against Spurs. If they're still kind of not really at the races, and if Bruno does really well in the double, you just think, you know what, I'm not going to waste the transfer going back. I'm just going to keep Bruno.
Yeah. True. Yep.
So I
And
do
their
like
fixtures
that.
are really good until the blank. Yeah, Leeds, like you're saying, then Leicester, good fixtures,
Yeah,
really good.
yeah,
I mean, City's are good too. Forest and Bournemouth in the blank. Don't get me wrong.
yeah. But
Mm.
yeah, I mean, the fact that Bruno's played 90 minutes tonight, but he's so fit. I don't think that really matters. But
Oh, okay, that's interesting. But you were saying he's apparently played well. Did you read that, or have you been
well,
watching
no,
a bit
just the fact that I can't remember who it was who
just on
said
the
it.
app?
James McFadden, former Scotland forward, just said that Bruno's cross in was absolutely amazing, and it was like Rashford squaring it for Fred, but he just said
Oh, okay,
Bruno crossed it with like the outside of his right foot or something, and
right. Okay.
yeah, and then a couple of minutes later, headed away, but only to Bruno Fernandes. He fizzes it dangerously across the face of the goal. So like, yeah, I haven't seen the game, but he's on form, isn't he? He's on good form. So
Yeah, absolutely. You can just tell he's got the swag back after Ronaldo's
yeah,
gone.
so I'm still going to be looking at ways to potentially get Bruno in, but it's just, I don't want to lose Shaw. I don't want to lose Rashford. I don't really want to lose Martial now, but I still think that's probably still the sensible way to go. But it's annoying because I want Nketiah. I can't I can't get there
Mm.
without taking a -8, and I really don't think it's worth a -8.
One more question then. Do you think who's the most important player to get in, Nketiah or Fernandes?
This week, Fernandes.
But over the next three, say, till the blank, they're both going to have doubles.
Probably still Fernandes because United's double is those two home fixtures against, not top opposition. I think isn't one of Arsenal's games next week City.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it is Bruno.
Okay.
I think it is.
I mean, I agree with the fixtures, but then I would just come back to that Nketiah is just ridiculous on there. But although I'm not really glad I remember this, but I remember doing the exact same thing in this point of the season. Do you remember this was wildcard territory last season? And I did the same thing. And in Nketiah's place last season was I can't remember his bloody name. What's the Crystal Palace striker who is the guy they got from Celtic, Edouard?
Oh yeah.
He was unbelievable on here. I mean, I know it's probably a bit different. They haven't got anyone to replace him, and then the other Palace striker just came in. So stats
Well,
and everything
I
like
think
this, but
one massive difference is that he's playing for
yeah,
the
true.
the guys who are top
The
of the league
rhythm
by
team.
5 points with the game in hand. So
Yeah,
that
I
is a
know.
huge difference. But I do think you're right. I mean, this is the thing about XG, XA, and everything else is that Bruno may be down on that list, but there's there's just this expectation. If you ask me to put a bet on who's going to get the most points in the next 2 game weeks, so they've both got a double, I'd say it'd be Bruno. But
Yeah. Out of Bruno, Gibbs White, and Grealish, who apparently, Bruno's the worst in terms of the stats. There is it'd be Bruno, wouldn't there?
exactly, and I think that's where maybe that's the difference is you look where Bruno is versus where Nketiah is, and you think, right, it's almost like
Yeah, it's got to. Yeah, if there's that
3
much of a
times
difference, you've
more.
got to. You can't probably ignore that without
No,
a bit of weight. But I know what you
no.
mean. Yeah.
But you see now why I thought I could talk about my team for a while, because just the kind of machinations of going through that and kind of constantly be going like, oh no, now I've got 4 Arsenal, or oh no, now I've got 4 United. Like, it's pretty annoying.
I know. Are you going to be okay approaching this deadline and probably having to roll? You're going to be so tempted to -8.
I will be tempted to -8, but that's the thing, isn't it? I think, all De Bruyne needs is a goal against Spurs, and the -8 would have just not paid off at all.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's why I have to just, because again, I don't know what the chances are of De Bruyne getting a goal against Spurs, but it could definitely happen, right? So I think there's no way that a -8 and a De Bruyne goal, and even that's the thing, maybe even a Martial goal, even in like potentially 180 minutes, if he only plays 30 minutes, he could get a goal like he did tonight. So
I think if you can live with that Bruno fear, I think Martial, given what he has done tonight, is a pretty exciting differential. Given maybe that it being 2 games in a week is actually a good thing, he's probably going to play one of them because Weghorst
yeah,
probably
true.
won't play them both. If they were a week apart, it could be Martial off the bench twice. But you'd think he would start one. He got 2
Yeah,
bites of the cherry there.
that's very true. So he's unlikely to get bonus or anything else, but I could get 60, 70 minutes out of him just across 2 games, couldn't I?
Yeah.
Which again is just not worth, because it's not like Nketiah's got a double this week. So I'm probably going to get a similar number of minutes out of Martial that I'm going to get out of Nketiah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it would be, in a way, I feel like it's a little bit, what's the word? It's a little bit kind of hipster to roll this week because there's so,
Yeah. You having 2
people,
frees next week will be pretty unique.
yeah, I think that might be the way I go. And if it goes wrong and Bruno absolutely smashes it, that's the thing, because I didn't have an easy route to get to him, so I couldn't beat myself up about it too much.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. I mean, exactly. I was listening to Above Average, and what's the guy's name on there? He's got Triple United, and he was just, all the way through the Bruno chats like, this is great listening, guys, but I can't do it. There's no way I can do this. I think he's even got 2 frees. I think he's got De Gea.
right.
Just won't do it, which I think is fair.
Yeah, so that's the thing. In a way, I can kind of make my peace with it. If I could do it easily and then didn't do it and he went off, I'd be like,
Yeah.
I'm annoyed.
Yeah.
But if I could do it easily, I'd do it. So yeah. There we go. Maybe it was bad planning on my part.
No. I think your team's looking good. I think with 2 frees next week, I think it'd be good.
Yeah, that would be nice. Maybe I could use one of them to get Matoma in
Next week. We're just trying to drag this out
I'm
for
not
an hour.
I'm not going to. I'm gonna prioritize the Arsenal and
Arsenal City next week.
Arsenal
Yeah,
City.
Lewis and Nketiah, and it'd be pretty nice, I think.
That's the other thing. If Nketiah blanks this week, the rush to my clamour to get him in, thinking he's the second coming of Batistuta or somebody. If Saka's Messi, then who knows who Nketiah is. But yeah, then you just go off it massively when they blank, don't you? But I'll probably be like, I've got White. He played 62 minutes, and then Tomiyasu came on. And I'm sure everything's fine. Everything's fine. Anyway,
right, we'll call it there.
Cool. Thanks so much, Shlee. Enjoyed that.
Yep, you too, buddy. Where are we? The outro. I haven't got my notes. Yeah, if you enjoyed this, give it a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And we will be back next week. Yeah, Friday deadline this week, so keep an eye on that. And next week back to Saturday as normal.
Yeah,
Thanks
please.
again,
If you listen to this, please post on YouTube what you think I should do.
But yeah, no, yeah, more the merrier on the opinions. Thanks everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.